Welcome to Grew with Portia, the podcast that uncovers the hidden treasures within grief. I'm your host, Portia the producer, and I'm inviting you to join me on a transformative journey where we will exchange laughter, of course the best medicine of them all, reflect on cherished memories, remember that time that the little boy grabbed my hand instead of his mother's at the amusement park? Yikes. And of course discover gratitude while navigating one of life's hardest challenges, loss. So get ready to grow with me, Portia the producer. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Groove with Portia. Happy 2026 to all of you. I am your host, Portia Booker, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to keep it with the latest and greatest of all with Groove with Portia. You know, one of the things that I'm very grateful for is the circle who I'm surrounded with. And the reason why is because they remind me that abundance is everywhere. But I know that I didn't always have that thought about abundance growing up. I used to think that abundance mostly attributed to physical gain and physical assets. But realistically, there's abundance in having a big network. There's abundance in being able to see the gratitude even in the challenging moments of our life. So I'm going to start off this year with a conversation with a very good friend of mine who is a personal energy strategist, an electrical engineer, and she's just an overall amazing person who has written a new journal called the Abundance Journal to really help us to rewire our mind and, incorporate reflection and really attract the life that we want. So welcome to Grew with Portia, Dr. Cornelia Kawan. Cornelia, how are you today?
Oh, thank you so much for this incredible introduction, Portia. And I'm so excited. I'm happy and I feel abundant being in your show and talk to you and to your amazing audience. Thank you so much for having me.
You know, I got to tell our audience really quick. Cornelia and I met through a mutual connection. And even though we met, 3 years ago, we've just been connected ever since. We touch base every month about life. And I'm just very grateful that you're in my life, Cornelia. You're one of my star people, and I just love you to pieces. Cornelia,
Likewise. Thank you so
yeah.
much.
Yeah, you're welcome. I got to give people their flowers while they're here. We can't wait until however you choose to exit out of this world. But I like to give people their flowers while they're here. Cornelia, one of the things that I'm curious about, I'm going to start this conversation a little bit differently, is what did it take for you to recognize that abundance wasn't just limited to physical gain? What did it take for you to see that in your own life?
Wow, that's a very powerful question. And as you already mentioned, from my background, I'm an engineer. So for a very long time, I lived in the world of Newton, saying, if you can't touch it, if you can't see it, and if you can't measure it, it just doesn't exist. And that was for a very long time my world. And then I discovered quantum science, and in a nutshell, just realized, every thought, every person has his or her own frequency. So we are just made of energy. We are surrounded by frequencies, and so it turned my world upside down, and then I noticed that in a way it's so much more, because you're doing grief work, right? And whatever you accumulate on material, whatever, it's not sustainable in a way. Of course it gives you joy, and when you reach a goal or whatever, you're satisfied. But I noticed when I'm with myself, it's just then you're in the next race, because when you reach one goal or you did something or something happened, then what's next? And then you set your next goal, right? And then you're back again. It never stops. And I thought it's so much more to enjoy the journey and what's on the way, and to pause also, and pausing and taking breaks. It's not easy for me, but I figured out that there's a lot of power in there. And that kind of shifted my way of looking what really counts. And you just said it, right? Your relationships, your network. And if you talk to people, in the end, that's the only thing, or that's the only way or frequency or energy that actually counts. Who is with you, and have you experienced love, right? And nothing else is important for a certain time or a certain moment, but it's not sustainable and not long lasting.
Oh, I agree. Cornelia, you brought up something about our frequency, right? That each of us vibrates at a different frequency. How would you describe yours, Cornelia?
Do you want to know the hertz?
Well, for let's keep it as in I'm a eighth grader asking. If you want to go into the 987 or 984 frequency gigahertz, that whole thing is fine for another day. But how would you describe your frequency? Is it more of kind of like a hip hop song all the time, or is it more of a Beethoven Mozart? How would you describe your frequency?
Oh wow, maybe it's probably something in between. But just one point what
Mm-hmm.
you're making. In my world, I think we all have our unique frequency. That's what I
Yeah.
mentioned before. But I think it's not, of course it's not always the same, right? Because like in the morning maybe it's different when you had like a busy day, or you had some bad news, or you had a stressful day. Then of course your frequency changes during the day. And I think it's the goal more or less is to be at least the majority of a day in
Mm-hmm.
a positive frequency, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you can't be it all the time, right? And I think that's not even the goal. It's not even possible. We are all human. And what I think is, in a way, you're kind of the best example, Portia, because you're just always so amazing, incredible, positive, right? And that's what you can't change life, or you can't, change some things that happen. You can't change, but what you always can influence is how you look at them and how you perceive them, how they make you feel, right? This is something you can influence. And here you can decide, yeah, okay, I feel sad or I'm angry. But don't let it stay, right? And I'm here, yeah, because this emotion only, flows through between 90 seconds, and then it's out of your system, and then you can go back to your original frequency. So I think in general, yeah, I think I'm very positive, and let's say I'm on a motivating, inspiring, positive frequency.
And you're right, Cornelia. Like we have those moments where we go through grief, when we have a stressful day at work, where we're bombarded and uppercutted by 1 minute you see cute cat videos, the next minute you see a plane crashing, killing everybody. Then you see another one of a little cute dog that brings, a little kitten to your doorstep, right? You get literally bombarded and punched with all these different emotions. It's like sometimes you don't know which direction to go. But once you've essentially harnessed and mastered your energetic frequency, you know how to find that balance and that grace to remind yourself, I'm human, right? These are
Yeah.
natural emotions and responses. To me, emotions are kind of like the traffic light. Like red obviously is like when you're angry, you need to stop. Yellow is kind of like you're getting there, and then green is, that positive frequency, go, 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 right? That's how I really see emotions. I think they're more of that like checks and balances system for us, right?
So true, so true. I also think, yeah, what you said before, like there are so many bad news that stresses
Mm-hmm.
us or make us worry. And a lot changed my frequency is that I stopped reading news and listening to news.
Mm.
And just set the intention in a way that all the information that I need to know comes to me. And it's so true. Somebody tells me, so I always get kind of some ideas, but this continuously stress about things that are happening in the world. And there are, of course, so many positive things happening as well, but nobody is talking about them because they're not newsworthy. And that's why I just stopped all this bad news, because they have an influence on your frequency and how you feel, right? And so just, if you're ready to it, you stop it.
Exactly. You get to choose, right? What comes into your circle, what comes into your peripheral. And sometimes you got to be that boundaries Jedi where like, not today, nah.
Exactly.
Cornelia, one of the things about your new abundance journal is you have these 5 different powerful practices within it. One of them I'm curious about is opening to receive. I'm curious, Cornelia, what is the common misconception around being open to receive?
Oh, yeah, I think for me and most of my people I work with, receiving is the hardest part because we are so trained on giving. I think it's the one thing. Yeah, you feel good when you give something. Yeah, and the other thing is, and I had to work on that for myself as well. The deserving and allowing yourself to receive that you are, yeah, good enough. That you, even if things happen, right, you still are you, and you're allowed to receive gifts not only from people around you, but also, we are allowed to get more into our life, and it can be something material, but it can also be, energy from other people, friends, or a dream. Or so for me, in a way, it was, I wanted to have some time off from my work, right? And that's why I got started with experiment with the abundance journal myself. And that's what I meant, kind of. And I started writing in these prompts, and all of a sudden these things, I achieved it. And it was not something to have a new car or whatever, could have worked as well, but for me it was, I wanted to take 6 weeks paid off, and it worked.
And essentially, I mean, you set the intention, right? You knew that this is something that you probably needed because let's be realistic. We're always on the go. When do we really have time to just sit and be within our own energy, within our own thoughts, and really take time to ask ourselves some of those tough questions like, what do I really want? Am I really happy in the current
Mhm.
seat of occupancy that I'm in? And if I'm not, what can I start to do today to start turning the wheel to get me there? And I'm
Exactly.
curious, Cornelia, too, because you're a personal energy strategist, I'm curious what are some, if you want to call it, symptoms of you really diving full into this new abundance understanding? What have you noticed with your energy since you've been on this path?
Oh, that's why a Portia question. Nobody else would come up with such a question. You're such a star. But actually, I think, this is what the journal is about. That you kind of take the time, and it can be it's for every day for a year, right? And then you can reflect on some prompts to reflect and take the time. And your question, what has changed, is, and there's something I would have never ever, I didn't understand, because there is this concept of, from Eckhart Tolle, the power of now.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really understood that concept, because I was always kind of in the future somewhere. What else needs to be done in 5 minutes, in a week, in a year? My plans, I was always future oriented. And what I learned with the journal, in a way, to see that there is already so much now, in that moment. And it taught me, in a way, to really, when I walk somewhere or when I talk to somebody, I'm then there, and there is
Mm-hmm.
no future and no past. I'm fully there with my energy and with my presence. Of course, it doesn't work every time, but I'm getting so much better. And there I realized, this is for me so abundant, because there's nothing else important but being in this moment. And
Mm-hmm.
and this was something I couldn't understand and grasp before, and the journal helped me to better understand that. And I thought, what about, it's not about, it's nice and they're still doing it to plan something in the future. It's always good to have a goal or, mission. But we we don't know, how long we're here. And so why always plan in the future and not enjoy what's right here, right now, and what I'm doing right now? And that's what the journal taught me.
Oh, the power of the present. I mean, Cornelia, when we brought up in the beginning, right, that I work with a lot of people who have experienced grief and loss, right? I think about how for a lot of us in the beginning, it's hard to be present because your mind is still stuck where the initial loss transpired.
Mm,
And I noticed, Cornelia, for me, for yours, it's abundance. For me, it's gratitude. Gratitude was that life jacket that kept me afloat during the
yeah,
initial seasons of my grief, of both my parents making their transition, right? And when I think about now, the gift of being able to feel, right? Being, you're all the way on the other side of the world, right? The gift of being able to connect with people like you, have deep conversations, be able to share what we know with the world and clothe it in knowledge. What a beautiful gift that we've been given.
that's so true, so powerful. And that
For,
gratitude, yeah, definitely is so important to, yeah, be grateful what happened in the past, what you're having right now, and also what, yeah, is coming in the future. Yeah,
mm,
it's so powerful. Fully with
yeah,
you.
yeah, gratitude. That is one of my signature words, one of my definitely signature words. Cornelia, for our audience who's tuning in, I know there's going to be people who want to connect with you, also get a copy of the book, The Abundance Journal. Cornelia, please share with us how our audience can connect with you and get a copy of The Abundance Journal.
Oh yeah, of course, it would be fantastic. And I think it would not only be fantastic if people use the journal to reflect on it, but I would be so grateful. Let's use this word. If some of your listeners and your audience are still are then really coming back to me and telling me about their experiences, because this is what the journal is actually really also for me. I give it out into the world, and you can get it on Amazon.com, or I think in any bookstore you can just go there and order it. It's called, yeah, the Abundance Journal, and from my name. But I think the real magic also happens with the connection, right? And then to learn what changed in your life and what you experienced with it. This is something so powerful. And people, yeah, can connect with me on my homepage. It's just Cornelia Kavan, so my name.com. And I'm offering, so if somebody really wants to have a closer look into her or his energy, I'm offering a complimentary personal energy strategy session for half an hour. So you can just click on it, have a look at my calendar, and then we connect. And I think that would be amazing.
Excellent. So those of you who heard Cornelia, you can get the Abundance Journal on Amazon or any book selling platform, Barnes and Noble. You can also connect with Cornelia on her website, corneliakawan.com, or just use Google, which is your friend if you forget. And we'll also have Cornelia's website and everything in the show notes. Cornelia, for our audience too, what do you have going on in 2026 that we can possibly get a sneak preview into?
Oh, wow. Now you're challenging me. I love your question. I think I'm secretly started working on a new book.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And yeah, I think I will work more. I got the inspiration or the impulse to work more on female energy topics, because I think
Mm.
it's more about this really, I call it energetic freedom, to shift, because I think there will be new energies in 2026, and to adapt this to these energies, it's all about like all these female energies like intuition, gratitude, and also receiving, right? This is a feminine energy, and to tune more and to learn more to use these energies. And it's not so easy for me as well, because I'm really in a male brought up in a male dominated
Right.
industry. I'm still in this industry, and I adapted, right. And it was so interesting, because today I read about an interview about a lady who is in finance, and she wanted to be part of the boys club, right? And it's also in
Mm-hmm.
the energy industry the same. And so she told them, I'm not your mom, I'm not your sister, I'm not your future girlfriend. I'm one of you. And then so she was really invited to be at the table. She smoked cigars, and so she was one of the guys, right? And I thought, wow, I would have, yeah, I tried to be that for a very long time, but something in me shifted so strongly. And I think it's also now, because of the journal and all these new energies, I think for me, it's not the right way anymore, right? Because I
Mm-hmm.
think these male energies, they're outphasing, right? And now the focus is somewhere else. And that's where I want to put my focus on 2026, on this, bring more of these female skills and energies into the world.
Yeah, the divine feminine. And Cornelia,
Yeah.
please let us know when that new book comes out, because that'd be an excellent conversation, right? Because I think, to your point, a lot of those old programming is starting to fade, right? I can speak from experience of being raised by a household of strong women, right? Where
Yeah.
my great grandmother and my mom, the motto in this house was, you get your own stuff. And I'm using
Yeah.
stuff lightly, but that's essentially what the programming was. And so it kind of teaches you that extreme independence, to not depend on anyone. But I had to really dive deeper into what this programming is and really see, okay, is this hindering me, or is this helping me to grow? Right. So definitely, Cornelia, let us know when that new book comes out so we can have another conversation here on Grew with Portia.
Oh, thank you so much, Portia.
You're welcome. Well, everybody, that was Dr. Cornelia Kawan that you heard from on this first episode of 2026 of Grew with Portia. And until next time, everyone, take care and peace and hair grease, everyone.
Bye, and John.